My name is Amelia Vance, and I'm 27 years old. Even now, nearly a decade later, the vivid memory of that graduation day can still flood my senses. The humid air thick with the scent of wilting roses and nervous excitement, the rustle of gowns, the murmur of proud parents. I remember the weight of the moment, the culmination of years of hard work, the threshold of a future I had meticulously planned. Beside me, my best friend, Chloe, radiated a triumphant glow, her smile a little too wide, her eyes a little too bright. And just a few rows ahead, my boyfriend, David, shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. I knew something was wrong. I had felt it in the subtle shifts in their whispers, in the way their eyes met, in the strange, hollow ring of Chloe's reassurances. What I didn't know was that in a few short moments, my entire carefully constructed future would splinter. Shattered by a betrayal so profound, it would redefine everything I thought I knew about friendship, love, and my own worth. And what they didn't know was that their moment of public triumph would be brutally short-lived, replaced by a swift, crushing wave of poetic justice that would leave them utterly undone. Before I dive into the raw, agonizing detail of that day, the whispers, the announcements, and the breathtaking moment when a principal's words brought Chloe to her knees, I want to take a moment to welcome all of you. If you're watching for the first time, thank you for stopping by. Please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of my stories about finding your voice, standing your ground, and reclaiming your power. And for my incredible community of returning subscribers, welcome back. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from today. Your support means so much to me. Now, let's go back to that pivotal moment, that graduation ceremony, and the two people who thought they could steal my life without consequence. My life today is a testament to resilience, a vibrant contrast to the monochromatic existence I once led. I'm a lead architect at a boutique firm specializing in sustainable urban spaces. My days are a whirlwind of creative problem-solving and meticulous detail, far from the whispers and judgments of my past. One morning might find me in a hard hat on a construction site, overseeing the installation of a green roof on a new community center. The sun beats down on my face, the smell of fresh concrete and cut wood fills the air, and I'm directing a team of contractors, ensuring every beam is aligned, every window placed for optimal natural light. I love the tangible progress, the way a sketched idea slowly transforms into a solid, breathing structure. The next day, I'm hunched over my drafting table in our sun-drenched downtown loft office, sketching out the initial concepts for a new park, playing with different plant palettes and pedestrian flow. My work involves collaborating closely with landscape designers, urban planners, and engineers, translating complex environmental data into functional, aesthetically pleasing designs. I then present these blueprints to a panel of skeptical city planners or potential investors, advocating for my vision with clear, data-driven arguments and a passion that burns quietly but intensely. My job is demanding, requiring not just technical skill and an understanding of structural integrity, but also a deep empathy for how people interact with their environment. I thrive on the intellectual challenge, on seeing abstract ideas materialize into tangible, living structures that improve people's lives. It's a career I built from the ground up, fueled by a fierce independence forged in the fires of my youth. My long-term goal is to lead my own large-scale urban development projects, not just designing buildings, but entire sustainable communities, creating spaces where people feel connected to nature and to each other. My personal living situation is a modern loft apartment in the heart of the city's burgeoning arts district. Sunlight streams through expansive windows, illuminating my collection of abstract art from local artists and the dozens of potted plants that transform my space into an indoor jungle. The exposed brick walls and high ceilings create an open, airy feel, a sanctuary I've cultivated to reflect my inner peace and creative spirit. Every morning, I wake before dawn, pull on my running gear, and hit the city streets. The quiet, pre-dawn hours are my time to think, to strategize, to clear my head as the sky shifts from indigo to rose. I run along the waterfront, past old warehouses being revitalized, past new parks I helped design, feeling the city come alive around me. By 7, I'm at my desk, a strong cup of black coffee in hand, meticulously organizing my day. My financial situation is stable, a stark contrast to my past anxieties. Years of smart investments and disciplined saving have given me a solid foundation. I'm not extravagant, preferring to reinvest my profits and build a secure future, but I'm undeniably building wealth, steadily and strategically. My hobbies are quiet, solitary pursuits that allow my mind to unwind from the intense focus of my work. I find solace in urban gardening, tending to a small plot in a community garden on the rooftop of my building, coaxing life from the soil amidst the concrete jungle. There's a profound satisfaction in watching something grow, in nurturing life. I also love hiking the trails just outside the city, losing myself in the rhythm of my own breath and the vastness of nature, finding inspiration in its organic forms. Reading, especially biographies of strong, visionary women, is another passion. My friendships are a small, tight-knit circle of kindred spirits from college and work. There's Lena, my closest friend, a brilliant finance expert, sharp-witted and pragmatic, who understands my drive and ambition. And Sam, another friend, a talented interior designer with an incredible eye for aesthetics, who often helps me envision the transformation of my design projects. They are my sounding boards, my cheerleaders, and my reality checks, the family I chose for myself. There are no romantic entanglements in my life right now, a conscious choice to prioritize my career and my well-being after years of putting others first. My evenings are quiet, a balm after the intensity of the day. A home-cooked meal, a good book, or the satisfying click of a puzzle piece falling into place. It's a life I built, piece by deliberate piece, and it was everything I needed, until a power play threatened to dismantle it all. To truly grasp the magnitude of the storm that erupted over my betrayal, you need to understand the family I grew up in. My parents, Robert and Martha Vance, were salt-of-the-earth people. They owned a small, local contracting business, working hard their entire lives to provide a comfortable, stable upbringing for me and my older brother, Daniel. They instilled in us the values of hard work, frugality, and above all, security. They were incredibly risk-averse, believing that steady, predictable income and careful saving were the only true paths to success. They valued safety, above ambition, above dreams, sometimes above even happiness. Daniel, 3 years my senior, was the embodiment of their ideals. He was steady, practical, and followed their path into the family business with unwavering commitment. He was good at it, too, managing the day-to-day operations with quiet efficiency. For my parents, Daniel was the dependable one, the son who would carry on their legacy without questioning the blueprint. He was their rock, their safe bet. He was tall and sturdy, with his father's broad shoulders and a practical, no-nonsense gaze. His personality was calm and predictable, rarely swayed by fleeting trends or emotional outbursts. I, however, was always the dreamer, the risk-taker, with a keen eye for aesthetics and a burning desire to create. From a young age, I saw opportunities where they saw dangers. I believed in growth, in pushing boundaries, in investing in potential. This often made me the impractical one, the too ambitious one in their eyes. My parents loved me fiercely, but they showed it through warnings and caution, their fears for my future often outweighing their belief in my abilities. My mother, Martha, a petite woman with kind but perpetually worried eyes, would often say, "It's a tough world out there, Amelia. Better to be safe than sorry." My father, Robert, a man of few words but firm convictions, would add, "A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, honey." Daniel, while loyal, often mirrored their skepticism, sometimes with a subtle undercurrent of resentment for my independent streak, perhaps seeing it as a challenge to their established way of life. He had a tendency to sigh heavily when I spoke about my dreams, a silent dismissal. Family gatherings, particularly our mandatory Sunday dinners, were always a practical affair. Discussions revolved around the cost of groceries, the rising price of gas, the latest client for the contracting business, or the safest investment for a retirement fund. There was little room for discussions about dreams or art or the exciting but inherently risky world of urban development. Affection was shown through Martha's perfectly cooked roast chicken or Robert's diligent repairs around my childhood home. Verbal affirmations of my ambitions were rare, almost non-existent. I remember one pivotal moment when I was 10 years old. I was fascinated by the concept of entrepreneurship and decided I wanted to start a lemonade stand. I didn't just want to plop a table in the driveway. I drafted a business plan, complete with projected costs for lemons and sugar, marketing strategies, and a revenue forecast. I even sketched out a design for a brightly painted stand with a striped awning. I presented it to my parents with breathless enthusiasm. My mother immediately worried about permits. "Are you sure you can just set up a stand, Amelia? What if the city sends someone? What about health regulations? And what about competition? Mrs. Gable's granddaughter has a stand down the street. What if no one buys your lemonade?" My father added with a shake of his head. "And what if you lose money? Better to just save that $20 you have, dear. A penny saved is a penny earned. Why risk it?" My grand entrepreneurial debut was stifled before it even began, not by failure, but by the pervasive fear of it. Daniel, then 13, just rolled his eyes. "Just get a paper route, Amelia. It's easier." As a teenager, I became fascinated with the stock market. I'd read books, follow the news, and use my meager allowance to invest in imaginary portfolios. I saved up a few $100s from babysitting and wanted to put it into a low-cost index fund. My parents were horrified. "Amelia, that's gambling," my father exclaimed, his voice unusually stern, his face flushed with worry. "You'll lose everything. Put that money in a savings account. It's safe. It's secure." That's what responsible people do. So my first foray into investment was redirected into a passbook savings account, accumulating a paltry interest rate, but undeniably safe. The dull, institutional smell of the bank still triggers a memory of that quiet disappointment. When it came time for college, my dream was to attend Northwood University, a prestigious out-of-state institution known for its cutting-edge architecture and urban planning program. I researched scholarships, estimated tuition, and even visited the campus, falling in love with its vibrant, forward-thinking atmosphere. I could already picture myself walking through its grand, historic halls, sketching designs in its modern studios. My parents, however, pushed hard for the local state university. "It's much more affordable, Amelia," my mother would patiently explain, her hand gently rubbing my arm. "And you can live at home, save on rent. You don't need to go so far away to get a good education. Financial stability is paramount, dear. Think of the debt." My father, ever the pragmatist, added, "It's a perfectly respectable school, Amelia, and it's sensible." Daniel, always echoing their sentiments, chimed in. "Why would you take on all that debt when there's a perfectly good school right here? You're just being dramatic." I felt unheard, unseen, my desires dismissed as frivolous distractions from the serious business of becoming the person they wanted me to be. I spent weeks arguing, researching, trying to convince them, but their wall of practical logic was impenetrable. I ended up choosing a program closer to home, but the sting of their subtle dismissal of my broader ambitions lingered like a bruise. In my early career, after gaining valuable experience at a larger real estate firm, I wanted to strike out on my own, to start my own boutique investment and development company, similar to the firm I work for now. I had a meticulously crafted business plan, a strong network, and a clear vision. My parents' reaction was immediate and unequivocal. "Leave a stable job, Amelia, with benefits? Are you absolutely mad?" My father demanded, his voice laced with genuine fear, his hands gripping the arms of his chair. "What if it fails? What if you go bankrupt? You'll lose everything you've worked for, all that security." Daniel chimed in. "It's reckless, Amelia. Dad and Mom have built a solid business. You should focus on that, on what's secure. You're too impetuous." Their caution felt like a direct lack of faith in my abilities, a constant, unspoken message that my dreams were too big, too risky, too dangerous. This constant struggle for validation, for understanding, deeply impacted my self-esteem. It fueled a fierce, almost desperate need to prove myself, to succeed independently, to show them that my intuition, my ambition, wasn't a flaw but a strength. I learned to internalize their skepticism, to push through it with a quiet, unyielding resolve, but it also left me with a hidden vulnerability, a constant awareness of the external doubts that could, if I let them, erode my confidence. This constant fight to justify my path, to demonstrate my worth beyond their conservative definitions, laid the groundwork for the battle I was about to face. A battle that would start with the twin betrayals of my best friend and my college dreams. My senior year of high school was supposed to be a golden year, a culmination of hard work and the exciting promise of the future. I had a steady boyfriend, David, a kind, sensitive boy with sandy blonde hair and a quiet artistic talent, who shared my love for indie films and long walks. We had been together for 2 years, navigating the awkwardness of high school romance with a comfortable ease. We talked about college, about our dreams. He was heading to the local state university for art, and though it wasn't my dream school, I had convinced myself that being near him would make it bearable. My closest friend, Chloe, was the other anchor in my world. She was the popular one, the effervescent blonde with a dazzling smile and an almost magnetic charm. We had been inseparable since elementary school, sharing secrets, dreams, and endless sleepovers. I loved her, blindly, fiercely. My biggest dream, however, was still Northwood University. Even though my parents had pushed me towards the local state school, I had secretly applied to Northwood, poured my heart and soul into the application, crafting essays about urban renewal and sustainable architecture, hopping against hope that I would be accepted. The acceptance letter, when it finally arrived in March, was a thick envelope, a tangible symbol of my aspirations. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Congratulations, Amelia Vance. We are delighted to offer you admission to Northwood University's School of Architecture." My heart soared. It was real. I cried tears of joy, hugging Mark tightly, finally daring to believe in a future that was truly mine. I shared the news with Chloe, expecting her unbridled excitement. She feigned it well, her smile wide, but her eyes held a strange, almost imperceptible flicker of something I couldn't quite place. I dismissed it as my own paranoia. But in the months leading up to graduation, subtle cracks began to appear in the facade of my perfect world. Chloe became increasingly possessive of David. She'd always been a bit of a flirt, but now her touches lingered, her laughter with him was a little too intimate. She suggest group outings, then somehow managed to monopolize his attention, leaving me feeling like a third wheel. When I gently confronted her, she'd brush it off. "Oh, Amelia, don't be silly. He's your boyfriend. We're just friends." "You're being too sensitive." David, when I asked him, would assure me it was nothing. "Chloe's just being Chloe, Vive. You know how she is. She's just friendly. You're my girl." I tried to rationalize it, blaming my own insecurities, my parents' subtle warnings against trusting too easily. Then came the strange shift in Chloe's college plans. She had been rejected from several of her top choices, and her morale seemed to plummet. She'd been accepted to a respectable but far less competitive state school, and her parents, known for their strict demands for perfection, were reportedly furious. But then, a week before graduation, she suddenly announced with a dazzling, triumphant smile, "Guess what, guys? I got into Northwood University. It was a late acceptance, but I made it." My stomach dropped. Northwood, my dream school, the one I was already accepted to. A prickle of unease, sharp and cold, ran down my spine. "But how?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "They're so competitive." She just shrugged, her smile unbothered. "Oh, you know, sometimes things just work out. Maybe it was my amazing essay. Guess we'll be roommates, Amelia." She laughed, a bright, cheerful sound that felt like nails on a chalkboard. David, who was there, simply offered a small, awkward smile. The unease deepened. I knew Chloe's grades, her test scores. They were good, but not Northwood level, not for their prestigious architecture program. My own acceptance, so hard-won, suddenly felt cheapened. I tried to dismiss my suspicions, to tell myself it was a miracle, that she deserved it. But the seeds of doubt had been planted. I kept my acceptance letter locked away, feeling a strange protectiveness over it. I noticed Chloe becoming more secretive, her phone constantly clutched in her hand, her conversations hushed. She stopped asking about my Northwood preparations, instead focusing on her own, making grand plans for our shared future there. I felt like I was living a parallel life, one filled with excitement for my real future, and another shadowed by a growing, terrifying suspicion. My intuition, long suppressed by years of being told to be practical and avoid conflict, screamed that something was profoundly wrong. I was about to walk into my high school graduation, still clinging to the tattered remnants of my trust, completely unaware that the ground beneath me was about to give way. The day of graduation was a humid, oppressive afternoon, the air heavy with unspoken tension. The auditorium was packed, a sea of proud parents and nervous graduates. My stomach churned, a knot of dread tightening with every minute that passed. I sat in the front row, squeezed between Chloe and David. Chloe was practically vibrating with excitement, her blonde hair gleaming, her smile fixed and triumphant. She kept glancing at David, who, to my growing alarm, seemed unusually quiet and pale, avoiding my gaze entirely. He held my hand, but his grip was clammy, his touch distant. As the ceremony progressed, my unease intensified. My eyes kept darting between Chloe and David, a silent plea for reassurance that never came. Finally, the time came for the special awards and scholarships. The principal, a jovial man named Mr. Thompson, took the podium, his voice booming through the speakers. He announced academic achievements, community service awards, and then the highly anticipated college scholarships. My heart pounded, a frantic drum against my ribs. I knew several scholarships were tied to specific university acceptances. And now, Mr. Thompson announced, his voice filled with pride, we move to our most prestigious academic scholarships and university commendations. This year, we are incredibly proud to announce the recipient of the Northwood University Architecture Scholarship, a full-ride scholarship awarded to only one outstanding student per year. My breath caught. This was it. My scholarship. The final, tangible proof of my hard work, my talent. I felt a surge of nervous excitement, my eyes instinctively looking at David, who was staring fixedly at the stage, his face unreadable. This year's recipient, Mr. Thompson boomed, is a student of exceptional promise, a true visionary in urban design, Chloe Peterson. The name hit me like a physical blow, a sudden brutal sucker punch that stole the air from my lungs. Chloe received the Northwood Architecture Scholarship. My blood ran cold, then hot, then icy. The auditorium erupted in applause, a deafening roar that seemed to mock my shattered reality. Chloe, beside me, gasped dramatically, then jumped to her feet, beaming, blowing kisses to the crowd, accepting her moment of glory with practiced ease. She looked at me, her eyes glittering with triumph, and mouthed, "I told you I got in." But it wasn't just a late acceptance now. It was a full scholarship. A scholarship I knew was specifically tied to my application, my essays, my portfolio. Before I could even process the shocking announcement, a new, even more devastating blow landed. David, sitting beside me, suddenly turned, his face etched with shame and regret. "Amelia," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the applause for Chloe, I can't do this anymore, we're over." My mind reeled. What are you talking about?" I whispered back, my voice trembling, unable to comprehend the sudden double betrayal. He wouldn't meet my gaze. "Chloe and I. We've been together for a while, Amelia. I'm sorry. It felt right. May the best girl win, right?" He finally looked at me, his eyes filled with a pitiful mixture of guilt and relief. My head snapped back to Chloe, who was now walking back towards us, still basking in the glow of the applause. She heard David's words, a faint smile playing on her lips. She caught my eye, a glint of pure, unadulterated malice in her gaze. She leaned in close, her voice a poisonous whisper just for my ears. "May the best girl win, Amelia," she purred, her breath hot on my ear. "She already has." She winked, a chilling gesture of triumph. The world tilted. My vision blurred, not with tears, but with a sudden, overwhelming rush of blood to my head. My perfect college acceptance, the scholarship, my future, all stolen. My boyfriend, snatched by my best friend. The weight of David's words, "May the best girl win," echoed Chloe's sneering whisper. It wasn't a competition I knew I was in, and I had just lost everything. The initial shock, the sheer, breathtaking audacity of their betrayal, transformed into a cold, hard knot of fury in my stomach. My body felt numb, distant, as if I were watching a movie of someone else's life. But deep down, a quiet, terrifying resolve began to form. They thought they had won. They had no idea who they had just truly awakened. The immediate aftermath was a desolate landscape of shattered dreams and simmering rage. I don't remember much of the rest of the graduation ceremony, only a muffled cacophony of names and applause, a surreal backdrop to my internal inferno. I walked off the stage in a daze, clutching my meaningless diploma, the scent of fresh-cut flowers now tainted by the stench of betrayal. My parents, beaming with pride as they spotted me, looked confused by my pale, vacant expression. "Amelia, what's wrong, honey?" "You look ill." I could barely choke out the words. "It's Chloe and Northwood and David." The full story tumbled out, a broken string of accusations and raw pain. My mother, Martha, immediately grew worried. "What are you talking about, Amelia? You were accepted to Northwood months ago. You have the letter." My father, Robert, ever the pragmatist, frowned. "This sounds like a misunderstanding, exaggerated emotion." Their initial reaction was, predictably, a mix of concern for my emotional state and a quick dismissal of the severity of the situation. It felt like another wave of invalidation, another reminder of their tendency to downplay my feelings. I retreated to my bedroom, pulling the blinds, plunging the room into a self-imposed darkness. The physical symptoms of betrayal manifested brutally: a tight knot in my stomach that made eating impossible, a constant throbbing headache, and annoying anxiety that twisted my insides. Sleep was impossible, my mind replaying Chloe's smug face, David's weak excuses, Mr. Thompson's booming announcement. I felt foolish, naive, angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, for trusting so blindly. My entire sense of worth, already fragile from years of parental comparisons to Daniel, felt utterly obliterated. I was not just heartbroken, I was professionally and personally bankrupt, stripped bare of my future and my sense of self. My attempt to confront David was a pathetic, desperate plea. I texted him, begging him to explain, to tell me it wasn't true. He finally replied, a terse, cowardly message. "Amelia, I'm really sorry, it just happened. Chloe and I, we have a real connection. You're great, but you're just not her. Look, it's over. Please just move on." He then blocked my number. His cowardice, his utter lack of remorse, solidified the grim reality. He wasn't just a boy who broke my heart. He was an enabler of deceit, a weak man easily swayed by Chloe's manipulative charm. My parents, after seeing the depth of my despair, finally took my claims more seriously. My father, with his legal background, tried to contact the school administration, demanding an explanation. The school counselor, Mr. Harrison, a kind but ultimately ineffective man, offered platitudes. "Chloe is a remarkable student, Mr. Vance, and her acceptance to Northwood, albeit late, was due to her exceptional academic record and her impressive essay. Perhaps there was a clerical error with Amelia's scholarship application. These things happen." He deflected, dismissed, and ultimately protected Chloe, painting her as the exemplary student and me as the distraught and emotional one. It became chillingly clear that Chloe, with her polished charm and her family's subtle influence — her father was a prominent local businessman — was untouchable within the school system. Each deflection, each dismissal, felt like another crushing blow, another brick in the wall of my despair. The weight of injustice settled over me, heavy and suffocating. My quiet anger, fueled by David's cowardly betrayal and the school's complicity, began to transform. The helpless rage was still there, but it was now laced with a cold, calculated resolve. If they wanted to play dirty, I could play dirtier. I just needed to learn the rules of their game. This wasn't just about reclaiming my boyfriend or my scholarship anymore. This was about exposing a predator, about fighting for fairness, and about reclaiming my own self-worth from the wreckage of Chloe Peterson's deceit. My personal investigation began immediately, fueled by sleepless nights and a burning desire for truth. I was no longer the quiet, agreeable girl. The betrayal had awakened a dormant analytical mind, honed by years of meticulous observation. My first target, my Northwood University acceptance letter. I pulled it from my desk drawer, the thick paper now feeling like a mockery. I scrutinized every detail: the font, the letterhead, the signature of the admissions dean. I compared it to legitimate acceptance letters I found online, letters from other students in my graduating class who had been accepted to other prestigious universities. The discrepancies were subtle at first, almost imperceptible to an untrained eye. A slight variation in the university crest's shade of blue, a fractional difference in the spacing of the letterhead text. But then I noticed it, a tiny, almost invisible pixelation around the signature of the admissions dean, a telltale sign of a digital copy-and-paste job. And the most damning detail, the name of the admissions dean on my letter was for the School of Arts and Sciences, not the School of Architecture, which was my specific program. Chloe had been so focused on copying the general acceptance, she hadn't noticed the departmental detail. My heart pounded with a mix of dread and triumphant clarity. It was a forgery, an undeniable, meticulously crafted forgery. My next step was to contact Northwood University directly, bypassing the high school entirely. I called the admissions office, introducing myself as Amelia Vance, a recent applicant. I politely inquired about the status of my application, carefully omitting any mention of an acceptance letter or a scholarship. The admissions officer was kind, but clear. "Ms. Vance, we appreciate your interest in Northwood. Your application was highly competitive, but unfortunately, we were unable to offer you admission to the School of Architecture for the upcoming fall semester. Your application was officially rejected in early April." The words hit me, but this time, it was a confirmation, not a blow. My heart ached, but my mind was clearer than it had been in weeks. My original letter was indeed a forgery. And Chloe, my supposed best friend, had forged it to make me believe I was going to Northwood, only to publicly humiliate me by beating me to the scholarship. The aha moment was chilling. I then discreetly inquired about Chloe Peterson's application status, feigning casual curiosity. The admissions officer confirmed that Chloe Peterson had applied, but her application to the School of Architecture had also been rejected. She had been accepted to the School of Arts and Sciences, but only with partial financial aid, not a full scholarship. It was a lower-tier acceptance, a place Chloe's parents would deem unacceptable. The full, monstrous truth clicked into place with a sickening thud. Chloe had forged my acceptance letter to Northwood, knowing I would believe it, knowing it would raise my hopes. Then, she had fabricated her own full scholarship to Northwood's architecture program, the one I had coveted, all to secure David and to publicly humiliate me at graduation. She wasn't just stealing my boyfriend. She was stealing my entire future, my dreams, and turning it into her own twisted spectacle. She used me as a stepping stone, a prop in her desperate need for validation. My anger, once a hot, chaotic fire, transformed into a cold, diamond-sharp weapon. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was a clear case of fraud, of academic misconduct, and of a deliberate attempt to sabotage another student's future. My quiet work, my meticulous documentation, my inherent ability to spot inconsistencies had unwittingly created the perfect defense. I had found the undeniable truth, the smoking gun that would expose Chloe Peterson for the manipulative, deceitful person she truly was. The fear was still there, but it was now dwarfed by a profound sense of righteous purpose. I had been a victim, yes, but now I was an avenger, and the real fight was about to begin. The weeks that followed were a period of intense, strategic calm. My emotional storm had completely subsided, replaced by a cold, unwavering resolve. My objective was crystal clear: expose Chloe Peterson's fraud unequivocally, reclaim my stolen future, and ensure she faced the full consequences of her actions. My legal team, led by my father, Robert Vance, who had now transformed from skeptical parent to fierce advocate, worked in absolute secrecy. He was horrified by the extent of Chloe's deceit and was determined to protect me. He pulled strings, leveraging his network of legal contacts, consulting with educational law specialists, ensuring every move was legally sound and strategically devastating. My first crucial step was to compile a bulletproof dossier of evidence. I worked tirelessly, meticulously organizing every detail. The original, rejected, email from Northwood University for my application, the forged acceptance letter I had received, with all its subtle, damning discrepancies highlighted, the official confirmation from Northwood Admissions regarding both my rejection and Chloe's lesser acceptance to arts and sciences. I included printouts of the fraudulent scholarship announcement from the graduation program, a copy of Chloe's own legitimate rejection letters from other top-tier schools that confirmed her desperation. My lab notebooks were a fortress of scientific integrity, each page initialed and dated by me, with a secondary signature from Ben, my trusted colleague, on all critical entries, a practice we had both adopted to ensure reproducibility and accountability. The digital timestamps on my experimental data and analysis code were irrefutable. I had digital footprints of every single step of the inventive process. We even obtained a sworn affidavit from the Northwood admissions dean, confirming the fraud. This wasn't just my word against hers. It was undeniable fact against her carefully constructed lies. My internal monologue was a constant rehearsal of the coming confrontation. I anticipated Chloe's denial, her gaslighting, her attempts to shift blame, her theatrical tears. But I was armed with truth, with documented proof, and with my father's unwavering legal expertise. My support system was crucial. My mother, Martha, now saw me with a new respect, her worry replaced by a quiet pride in my strength. Daniel, my brother, for the first time, expressed genuine outrage on my behalf. My closest friends, Lena and Sam, rallied around me, offering emotional support and practical help, reminding me of my inner strength. My strategy was simple, but devastating. The upcoming high school graduation, the very stage where Chloe had orchestrated my public humiliation, would be the venue for her downfall. She was to receive a special Outstanding Academic Achievement Award at the school's annual honors convocation, a smaller, more intimate ceremony held a few weeks after graduation, before she left for Northwood. This was to be her final, triumphant hurrah, her chance to bask in the glow of her stolen glory. And it was precisely where I intended to deliver her public execution. My plan was to attend the convocation, outwardly a composed student, and wait for the perfect moment. I would not interrupt. I would let her preen. And then my father would make his entrance, armed with a chilling clarity. The stage was set. The trap was sprung. And Chloe had no idea she was about to walk into it. The ultimate vindication, the final, crucial piece of my puzzle, was almost in my grasp. The evening of the high school honors convocation was a stiflingly hot night, the auditorium even more crowded than graduation, packed with parents, teachers, and the top-tier students of our graduating class. The air was thick with the scent of lilies and the hum of forced politeness. The stage, adorned with elaborate floral arrangements, seemed to gleam under the spotlight. Chloe, radiant in a pristine white dress, her blonde hair impeccably styled, sat in the front row, exuding an almost unbearable air of self-satisfaction. Her parents, beaming with pride, were in the audience, their chests puffed out. David, looking pale and nervous, was also there, avoiding eye contact with everyone. I sat in the middle of the auditorium, a quiet observer, dressed in a simple, dark blue dress, my hair pulled back in a severe, no-nonsense ponytail. My expression was calm, almost serene, a mask of composure that hid the storm raging within me. Beside me sat my mother, Martha, her hand gripping mine, her face tight with a mixture of nerves and fierce protectiveness. My father, Robert, was seated a few rows ahead, discreetly conversing with Mr. Thompson, the principal, his voice low and serious. In my purse, a thick manila envelope rested, heavy with the weight of truth. The ceremony began, a predictable parade of academic awards and scholarship announcements. Chloe, true to form, was called to the stage multiple times, accepting each accolade with a dazzling, practiced smile and an overly enthusiastic hug for Mr. Thompson. Her parents clapped thunderously, their eyes fixed on their golden child. David, meanwhile, kept shifting in his seat, his gaze darting nervously towards the back of the auditorium, as if expecting something. Finally, the moment arrived. Mr. Thompson stepped back to the podium, his smile a little strained. "And now," he announced, his voice carrying a strange solemnity, "we come to our most prestigious award of the evening, the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award, presented to a student who embodies the very spirit of Northwood High's excellence and integrity." He paused, his eyes sweeping across the audience, finally settling on Chloe, who was already preening, her smile radiant. "This year's recipient has also secured a full scholarship to Northwood University's prestigious School of Architecture. Let us give a round of applause for Chloe Peterson." The auditorium erupted in applause, but it felt strangely muted, a polite ripple rather than a thunderous roar. As Chloe, beaming, began to rise from her seat, my father, Robert Vance, calmly rose from his own seat a few rows ahead. He walked slowly, deliberately towards the aisle, his presence commanding attention. Mr. Thompson, seeing him approach, frowned, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. "Mr. Thompson," my father said, his voice clear and resonant, cutting through the polite applause like a knife. "Before Ms. Peterson accepts that award, I believe there's a matter of critical importance that needs to be addressed." The applause immediately died down, replaced by a sudden, stunned silence. Every head in the auditorium swiveled, every eye fixed on my father. Chloe, halfway out of her seat, froze, her smile melting into a look of bewildered annoyance. Mr. Thompson, clearly flustered, stepped away from the podium. Mr. Vance, with all due respect, this is highly inappropriate. We are in the middle of an awards ceremony, and I am here to expose a profound fraud that threatens the very integrity of this institution, Mr. Thompson, my father replied, his voice unwavering, his gaze piercing. He walked to the stage, carrying the manila envelope, his steps deliberate. He turned to face the audience, his expression grim. Members of the faculty, parents, students, he began, his voice resonating with a quiet power. I am here tonight on behalf of my daughter, Amelia Vance, and on behalf of academic truth, to reveal a grave injustice. He pulled a document from the envelope. It has come to light that the acceptance letter and scholarship award for Northwood University, presented earlier to Ms. Chloe Peterson, are entirely fraudulent. A collective gasp ripped through the auditorium. Murmurs exploded into shocked whispers. Chloe, on the front row, stared at my father, her face draining of all color, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and utter disbelief. Her parents, initially confused, now looked utterly horrified. David had slumped in his seat, his head in his hands. My father continued, his voice unwavering. We have here a sworn affidavit from the Dean of Admissions at Northwood University, confirming that Ms. Chloe Peterson's application to the School of Architecture was rejected. Furthermore, the scholarship she allegedly received does not exist. We also have irrefutable evidence that the acceptance letter and scholarship notification presented by Ms. Peterson were meticulously forged, a deliberate act of fraud designed to steal an opportunity from another deserving student, my daughter, Amelia Vance, who was legitimately accepted to Northwood University's School of Architecture with a full scholarship, an offer that was unfortunately rescinded due to Ms. Peterson's deceit. He held up the actual, legitimate scholarship acceptance letter that had been rightfully mine. The auditorium erupted into a cacophony of shouts, gasps, and furious whispers. Cameras flashed from local news crews who had been tipped off by my father's firm. Mr. Thompson, his face ashen, tried to regain control, hammering his gavel against the podium, but his authority had vanished. Chloe, who had risen to her feet, let out a strangled cry. Her face, a ghastly white, contorted into a mask of pure, unadulterated rage and humiliation. No, she shrieked, her voice raw, unhinged. It's a lie, she's lying, she's just jealous, she has no talent. She's always been jealous of me. She lunged towards my father, her elegant white dress tearing as she stumbled. But university security, discreetly positioned by my father's firm after the warning to Mr. Thompson, moved swiftly, intercepting her. As the security guards restrained her, reading her rights, her parents rushed forward, their faces a mixture of confusion and horror. Chloe, what is happening? Her mother cried. This is insane. Chloe, now a sobbing, incoherent mess, was led off the stage, her cries of protest fatting down the hallway, her glittering dream, her carefully constructed life, dissolving into a public nightmare. David, meanwhile, finally looked up, his eyes meeting mine. His face was a mask of utter shame and self-loathing. I simply met his gaze, my own eyes holding no pity, only the quiet, unwavering power of truth. Mr. Thompson, his voice trembling, finally managed to regain some semblance of order. He cleared his throat. In light of this shocking revelation, he announced, his voice strained, the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award to Ms. Peterson is hereby rescinded. Ms. Peterson is formally expelled from Northwood High School, effective immediately. And the Northwood University Architecture Scholarship, previously announced, will now be awarded to its rightful recipient, a student of unwavering integrity and immense talent, Amelia Vance. The auditorium, after a moment of stunned silence, erupted in a thunderous, genuine round of applause. It was a sound that washed over me, a wave of vindication that cleansed years of doubt and insecurity. My mother squeezed my hand, tears streaming down her face, not of sadness, but of immense pride. I stood, my legs surprisingly steady, and walked to the stage, not to accept an award, but to claim my truth. The chessboard had been flipped, and I was the one who had made the winning move. Justice served. The immediate consequences of that honors convocation were swift and devastating for Chloe. The video of her public meltdown, her desperate, unhinged cries, and my father's calm, damning exposition went viral within hours. Local news channels already present broadcast the story, painting a vivid picture of academic fraud and betrayal. The university, reeling from the public scandal and the damage to its prestigious reputation, issued an immediate public statement confirming Chloe Peterson's rejection from their architecture program and the invalidity of her scholarship. She was formally expelled from Northwood High School, her diploma revoked, her academic record permanently tainted. Her carefully cultivated life, built on lies and manipulation, imploded entirely. She vanished from the public eye, her name now synonymous with deceit. For David, the fallout was one of profound public shame and social isolation. His name, associated with Chloe's betrayal, was whispered in the hallways. He tried to contact me, sending a series of apologetic, guilt-ridden messages, but I ignored them all. There was no apology that could erase the pain he had caused, his weakness in succumbing to Chloe's manipulation. His social standing evaporated, and he finished high school in a cloud of quiet ignominy, his dreams of a carefree college experience shattered. For me, the shift was immediate and dramatic. I went from being an overlooked, emotionally shattered student to a sudden, albeit reluctant, symbol of integrity and resilience. The Northwood University Dean of Admissions personally called me, offering a profuse apology and not just reaffirming my original acceptance, but also confirming the full scholarship. "Ms. Vance," she had said, her voice filled with genuine regret, "we are deeply sorry for the distress this caused. Your integrity and your pursuit of justice are precisely the qualities we seek in our students. We are honored to have you." It was more than just an acceptance. It was an affirmation of my inherent worth. My quiet vindication transformed into a profound sense of empowerment. I wasn't just cleared, I was celebrated. My parents, witnessing the profound impact of my unwavering pursuit of truth, were filled with an undeniable, quiet pride. My mother's tears now were tears of joy. My father's gaze, usually so analytical, now held a deep emotional respect. My brother, Daniel, for the first time, looked at me with genuine admiration, his earlier skepticism replaced by awe. The long-standing parental comparisons to Daniel vanished, replaced by a deep, mutual respect for my unique strengths. The journey was excruciating, but the destination was a profound sense of peace and a future brimming with possibility, one I had fought for and won. The extended consequences of Chloe Peterson's fraud and my subsequent triumph reverberated through our small town for years. Chloe, after her expulsion and the public disgrace, was unable to secure admission to any reputable college or university. Her family, once pillars of the community, found their social standing irrevocably damaged, her father's business suffering from the negative association. Chloe eventually moved out of state, rumors suggesting a succession of low-wage, unstable jobs, her life a stark contrast to the brilliant future she had so arrogantly stolen. She never truly escaped the shadow of her past. David, my ex-boyfriend, finished high school quietly, his artistic dreams seemingly fading into obscurity. He attended the local state university, but his grades suffered, and he became a recluse, haunted by his complicity in Chloe's schemes. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he struggled with depression, unable to reconcile his actions with the person he thought he was. I never sought contact, and he never reached out again after his initial attempts. The bridge between us was burned beyond repair. Meanwhile, my own academic journey at Northwood University was nothing short of transformative. I thrived in the School of Architecture, immersing myself in my studies, my passion for urban planning and sustainable design burning brighter than ever. My professors were inspiring, my classmates collaborative, and the environment fostered true innovation. The trauma of my past, rather than hindering me, became a powerful catalyst, fueling my determination to build a better, more ethical world through my work. I channeled my pain into purpose, designing projects that prioritized community, integrity, and transparency. After graduating with honors, I joined a prestigious architecture firm known for its commitment to socially responsible development. My career quickly ascended. I became a lead architect, celebrated not just for my innovative designs, but for my unwavering ethical standards. I insisted on fair labor practices on my construction sites, advocated for community input in all my projects, and championed sustainable materials. My name became synonymous with integrity in the industry. Life after that victory has been nothing short of extraordinary. It's been 5 years since I graduated from Northwood, and my career as a lead architect is flourishing. My firm just broke ground on a revolutionary affordable housing project, incorporating green technology and communal spaces, a true testament to my vision. I'm often invited to speak at design conferences, sharing my journey, not just as a tale of triumph, but as a model for ethical leadership in a cutthroat industry. My finances are not just stable, they're abundant, allowing me to invest in my passion projects, to contribute to causes I believe in, and to live a life of profound purpose. My mental health is robust, grounded in an unshakable sense of self-worth and peace. The constant hum of anxiety, the subtle fear of being overlooked or dismissed, has vanished. My apartment, filled with sunlight and art, is a true sanctuary. I still run every morning, feeling the strength in my body, the clarity in my mind, a testament to the fact that I survived and I thrived. My relationships with my family have transformed into something rich and authentic. My parents, who once worried about my risky, artistic ambitions, are now my biggest cheerleaders. They attend my project groundbreaking ceremonies, their faces beaming with genuine pride in the person I have become and the impact I am making. My mother, who once urged caution, now shares articles about sustainable architecture, her quiet way of acknowledging my success. My father, the pragmatic lawyer, often consults me on ethical dilemmas in his own cases, a surprising role reversal that speaks volumes about his newfound respect for my moral compass. Daniel, my brother, is now one of my most enthusiastic supporters, often sharing my firm's projects on his own social media, our past sibling rivalry replaced by genuine admiration and a deep fraternal bond. My friendships with Lena and Sam are deeper than ever, forged in the fires of shared purpose and unwavering support. And in a beautifully unexpected turn, my personal life has blossomed too. I'm in a loving, committed relationship with a kind and brilliant urban planner named Ethan. We met through a mutual professional organization, bonding over our shared passion for creating better cities. Our relationship is built on mutual respect, shared values, and an unwavering trust, a stark contrast to the betrayal of my youth. As for Chloe Peterson, she remains a ghost of a past I have long since transcended. I don't think about her with bitterness anymore, but with a detached understanding that her actions, though devastating, were ultimately the catalyst for my greatest growth. She forced me to confront my fears, to trust my instincts, and to build a life founded on principles she could never comprehend. The most profound personal growth has been in my own self-worth. I no longer seek external validation or worry about being perceived as less than. I've learned that true power lies not in manipulation or deceit, but in integrity, authenticity, and unwavering resilience. I would tell my younger self, the one heartbroken and ashamed by Chloe's betrayal, that this pain is not the end of her story, but the crucible in which her true strength will be forged. I would tell her to trust her intuition, to never doubt her own value, and to understand that she possesses an unshakable inner compass that will always guide her toward truth and purpose. Forgiveness, for me, came not from excusing Chloe's actions, but from releasing myself from the burden of her injustice, from understanding that my peace was more valuable than holding onto resentment. Healing is not about forgetting the pain, but about transforming it into purpose, building a life so rich in authenticity and impact that the shadows of the past can no longer dim its light. The ripple effect of my story has been truly inspiring. My advocacy for ethical practices in architecture and urban planning has led to invitations to speak at universities, sharing my journey with aspiring professionals. I emphasize the importance of integrity, the dangers of blind ambition, and the courage it takes to speak up. I've even mentored several young women who felt marginalized or overlooked in their own careers, encouraging them to trust their instincts and pursue their passions regardless of external validation. My company actively partners with local nonprofits, funding community gardens and youth architecture programs, ensuring that the goodwill generated by my success ripples through the wider community. It's a testament to the fact that one act of injustice, met with unwavering resolve and a commitment to integrity, can ignite a movement for change and inspire countless others to reclaim their power and pursue their dreams. Thank you so much for listening to my story tonight. It's a testament to the fact that even when someone tries to steal your dreams, you have the power to rebuild them, stronger and more beautiful than before. If you've ever faced betrayal or had to fight for justice, I invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space where courage is celebrated and where no one feels alone in their battle for truth. And please, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with anyone who needs a reminder that the best revenge isn't just sweet, it's profoundly transformational. Remember, your power lies in your truth, your integrity, and your unyielding spirit.